Namaskar. I am together with my good friend, Didi Ananda Devapriya. She is a meditation teacher for more than 20 years and a long-time practitioner of meditation. Personally, a great inspiration of my life. Sometimes people come to me, there are two different opinions. Like one opinion is there that don't try to make this world better. Don't try to change the world. Why you are so arrogant to actually think that you can change the world? Rather, you should focus internally on your spiritual growth, and then as you grow spiritually, the things will just settle themselves. And another view is that we have to be active in life, and this is one dimension of our life that we meditate. Yes, that's one way to grow spiritually, but also we help others and we help society.
Yeah, I mean, this same question was exactly what I was facing at the beginning of the spiritual search, because I was really attracted to going into meditation, yoga, looking for an ashram, and going deep into the spiritual practice. At the same time, I was feeling that I wanted to make a difference in the world. No, I'd already had a taste of it, and that was when I was like college summer job. It was kind of the leftover jobs. All the good ones were gone.
Okay.
And it was a bit cryptic what it was in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
But when I actually showed up, I realized what it was going door to door for these environmental education and political campaigns. Canvassing, it's called. So going door to door.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't think I would be able to do this because I was quite shy. And I had a really good teacher. She was my mentor, and the thing is that she wasn't doing it as a job. She was actually kind of a 60s hippie that never stopped.
Wow.
Like, most people kind of like
settle down.
Became
merged with the system.
But she still had this idealism, and she really believed in what she was doing. And she transmitted that to me, that democracy only works if you have an educated voters, and that you have to go out and educate the people, and we have to give them a voice, and we have to help them to, do that by getting them aware about these issues and, signing petitions and things like this. And it felt really good to actually be part of something that was making a difference.
How did it feel? What is the feeling?
It was like a feeling of empowerment. Because up until then, I had been, teenager, kind of wearing black, very cynical, very negativistic, feeling nothing was right, but, just critical about it.
Kind of nihilist type of.
Yeah. And then when I started doing this, I felt, you can make a difference. Things can change, but you have to be a big team. I felt like I'm just one little small part of a change that many, many people are involved in. And yeah, that gave a sense of meaning, and I think it was the first time I felt a sense of mission in the sense of like feeling that you're living for something bigger than just yourself. So when I started looking seriously into spiritual paths, the first ones I came across were more Buddhist, and the teaching was exactly this. I literally met...
You actually had this exact sermon that I was just...
I literally happened to go to the Zendo the day that the master of that tradition was visiting, and I didn't realize he was going to be there, and we got a chance to ask questions. And I asked a question, and I got exactly this type of answer. That, the problem isn't the world. You have to know who you are. You have to change yourself. And
kind of makes sense at some level, no?
It does. Yeah. I'm not saying it's wrong. There's a subjective truth to that. But it wasn't satisfying for the part of me that wanted to be an activist and that felt that right now we're at a juncture in history where there's some important changes happening on the level of climate, etc. And I felt it would be very selfish to just go off and only be concerned about my own spiritual development.
I actually had also one kind of encounter. Yes, one girl came to me, and then after lecture, she kind of challenged me, and she, like, publicly, she's like, Dada, you are, everything concerns spirituality and meditation, I 100% support. It makes sense, it is very logical, but you always speak about, making better world, changing society. Why you are so arrogant? Why is, I read in the books that you should rather work on yourself. And then, so then I looked at her, and I just somehow intuitionally it came to me. I said, why do you do renovation in your house? And then somehow it happened that she actually did at that moment renovation in the house. And she said, Dada, how do you know? How do you know? You were reading my mind or something. Then I said, then why you are doing renovation? Yeah, I want to make my house beautiful. I said, yes, so this is the answer. It means we are living on this planet, and this planet is beautiful. We need to take care of it. And there are, different neighbors. There are humans, there are animals, so if that's just expanding of responsibility. And if you clean your house, you do the same in the street. You do the same everywhere. So that home should be good. So that's I feel much more connected with this philosophy. So how you found this way to live?
Yeah, I was actually having this conflict in my mind between these two things. Whether I should go and volunteer for a period of time in an ashram and just really go deep into spirituality, or if I should go to Peace Corps or some other form of full-time volunteer work. I didn't have a clarity at that moment. I just finished university, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I thought if I could do something without being paid for it, then it means it's something I really love. And I wanted to find something that I would be passionate about. So this conflict's going on, and one day I just writing a letter to one of my teachers and asking, what should I do, basically. And I realized nobody could give me a satisfying answer. So I just closed my eyes and I'm like, okay, show me the right path. And it was about 4 hours later that day.
Talking to God?
Yeah.
Like this?
Well, I didn't even really know if it was God at that point. No, I was like, okay, I know somebody's listening. Somebody's there. And so I just opened myself. Now I'm like, just show me the right path. And don't be subtle about it. No more like little hints, because it was that moment of like my life where I was very intuitionally following signs, you could say, things that just seemed to have a certain serendipity or flow. And a lot of interesting things were coming my way, but it was confusing. And that same day, I see a little poster, handwritten, photocopied, no marketing, black and white. But it was right where I was working on, posted by the elevator in the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, where I was working at the time. And so the moment I saw it, it was like an electric shock, because it was very simple, but it had two things: self-realization and service to all. And they were in the same poster. And it was like, this is the answer to my question. That's what I felt. Like when I saw them together, I thought, this is it. This is what I'm looking for. And I was so excited. I ran to find a friend we'd been discussing this spiritual search together. And I was like, I think I found it. I found exactly what we're looking for. You've got to come. She didn't come. Only I went. But it was exactly what I was looking for, because rather than seeing these two things as separate paths, they're together. They work together.
How? What is, in your feeling, in your realization, what is the connection?
Yeah.
How they are together?
I feel what are we doing when we do meditation? Now we're trying to get to the realization of something beyond our little ego, the divine presence within the I feeling, but not the small, limited ego I. And when you do service, when you are able to go beyond your comfort zone, when you're able to do something without a specific personal reward, you're not getting paid for it. No, you have the opportunity then to experience the divine working through you. Like you become an instrument for that force of good in the world. And you're just a small little drop. But there's a big force behind you, carrying you. And this is my experience. I mean, I feel that it helps you to really become aligned with that energy of unconditional love, to really express it, not just remain abstract. Otherwise, we can often just like live our lives for ourselves and for our own pleasure and our own gratification. Even meditation can become like that. Even somebody who's doing spiritual practices can end up, more focused just on themselves. If you're actively engaging in some type of service, it keeps your focus broader.
Actually, this is really a good explanation and good point. Because meditation, sometimes I just feel that technique is there, but there is no life. And this is what you describe, is that the life is flowing. Mm-hmm. And then it's not about so much of yourself. It's about that which is flowing through you. And I think that's, once you experience that, is you want to be there.
I mean, you're doing it too. You do it in a different way. I work with refugees, I work with kids, I work with other types of service, but you're spreading meditation.
Yeah, I mean, that's also, as you say, that money or all these things, it's immaterial. It's just, also in art, I was talking to an artist, and I asked, why do you do? His entire house is full of his works. Yeah. And it's like, it looks like he's working, 24 hours. He's just constantly doing it. And I asked him, why are you doing? He said, I'm not interested in fame, I'm not interested in money. But when I do it, I feel fulfilled. I feel really deeply satisfied. Like I feel that there is something going through me.
Yeah.
So you think like because we are talking here with you and you are nun, you have completely dedicated your life. And even myself, when I look at you, I admire you very much. But I don't think I could start a children's home. It's not that kind of, I don't have that inclination. I do what I do, like teaching meditation, etc. But just for normal people who have a job, who have a family, how much do you think people should do service in life? Like some percentage of time to feel complete, and also to spiritually evolve.
I don't think I could give a limit to it. I mean, I think you should do as much as you can, do all the good you can in all the ways you can for as long as you ever can.
What if my wife complained then? I don't have wife, but just I'm advocating the normal men.
Yeah. If you have family responsibilities, I think already when people become parents, that's why they get mature. Because they're not just living for themselves anymore. This is the experience that I've seen, that women and men, when they become parents, suddenly the center of their universe is not themselves. It's this small little entity that they have to care for. And I think it's good, because this helps people to mature. Because you start to mature when you're not just living for your own self-ego interests. So taking care of a family is a part of service and expressing service, taking care of children, raising children, making sure that their needs are met. This is a primary, like you can't, it's like you're on the airplane, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first before you put it on others, right? It's a similar kind of idea. You have to take care of your basic responsibilities. You have to take care, especially of the children that depend on you. So if you have a family, you have to take care of the family first. But there's ways of living that where you spend all your resources just on that, and there's nothing left over. But these are choices. So when I think if a person has an intention to develop spiritually, how do we know we're progressing spiritually? Is it just because, you can sit hours in meditation? Is that really spiritual?
Yeah, a little bit.
Maybe?
Because if you sit like this, means you already have some discipline, you have control of the mind.
It's true. But I think that a sign of spiritual progress is when the person's good. When they're really an expression of the divine in their actions. Be doing some kind of meditation, but still be quite self-centered, angry, shouting, not so benevolent. It's possible, right?
Yeah, many times also.
It can happen.
Yeah. I had one girl, she was saying, my husband complains, if you are such a yoga, why you are so angry? And then, but she was really trying very hard, when you're trying too hard, you are kind of suppressing yourself. And that all that suppression becomes a frustration, and then it comes out. So, and actually, I think it has something to do with this. Because if you are becoming too kind of enlightened, too holy, too, yoga, and you lose the touch with the world, I think that's a sort of suppression of the mind. So there has to be some channel to express yourself. Because we are things of this earth. We are mundane at some level. And on some other level, we are spiritual. So there has to be, I think, both the expressions. To me, the metaphor of the tree is the best. Like the roots are there in the ground, and then the trunk is very strong, and then you are growing, and the branches are there in the sky. So I think that's the better, instead of, some floating balloon in the air.
What's coming to my mind is one of our colleagues, we were talking earlier today, who came and worked here in Romania as well, a monk. And he's a very intellectual person, very theoretical person, and he spent a lot of time in offices and working, on the computer, doing IT service, and very deep meditator. But he told me that, he felt like the best experience of his life was when he came here to Romania and started working on a project for young people that were on the streets. And it just put his feet on the ground. Like when he had to really deal with actual problems, not of people who are really marginalized, who, he'd just never been in contact with this type of suffering before. Living just more in a
bubble.
A bubble, kind of utopian world on some level, theoretical.
I can picture the situation,
Yeah. So this is what service does. It kind of like, it really puts you in contact with the real world, with the real problems of the world, with suffering.
Actually, I find the reality is always very difficult to deal with. Like also situation, to accept. Like people say, I don't need any guru, I don't need anything, I just accept God. So this is, to me, it's like very, very easy type of statement, because, you can imagine God, whatever you like. He can be exactly according to your ego. So you are creating some kind of idol in your mind. And then, but accepting the real path, real teachings, real guru, that's a commitment. And then I think also when we are dealing with the harsh realities of life, that's no more escaping into the clouds. It's real. Either you're going to love it, or you're not going to love it.
Sometimes it's overwhelming. Like sometimes when I really realize how much suffering there is out there,
Yeah, this is also a good question.
Outside of our own community, like within our community, like of spiritual practitioners, there can be some conflicts and like this, but still relatively good people.
Yeah.
Everybody's relatively like sincere, trying to be better and trying to do something
good, more or less successful, more or less wealthy, more or less without problem.
Yeah. But when you realize that that's just a small little percentage of the world, and that so many people.
So talking about that, you are doing children home. You are doing what? Kindergarten. Then you are doing after school care.
Yeah, we have some kids in the village that we help from really disadvantaged families that we give hot food and help with their homework. This is a project to break the cycle of rural poverty. Because it's been going on for generations. Parents are illiterate, have all kinds of social problems, so kids don't go to school. They end up in the same situation. And it's also a good project for preventing that more kids don't end up in children's home like ours, because the children's home is for kids that are taken out of situations of neglect and abuse. So one of the main things with neglect is they're not getting enough food. Often because of alcoholism, in the case of the kids we have now, parents are just not aware enough to even take care of the basic needs. So you
feed them just basically children.
Yeah, so because the after-school center, they're getting food, it means that they don't ever get to the stage of extreme neglect where they need to be taken out of the family. So we support that way kids to still stay with their families, even if they're in a situation of extreme poverty, etc. It's an external support so that you don't have to break the family. And so in our area, like in our immediate area where we've done that, there's no cases that we've needed to integrate into the home. They're coming from a bit farther away.
So you did make a difference.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, I wish I could do more. I mean, once you become aware of the problems, you realize you can't do everything, but you see what else needs to be done.
So my question is this.
Yeah.
That I went to your projects. I admired your loving, constructive service there, and but then I keep asking myself, isn't it just a drop in the ocean? Can we really make the world better, or is it just some kind of delusion that we pursue? Because I have this very strong in me from very childhood. I want to change the world. That's somehow I think when I was 12 years old boy, I felt suffering. I felt the world is really suffering, and then something has to be done. So, what do you think? I mean, if it is a drop in the ocean, okay, you are a good person, you do it, but then that's it.
I can't imagine not doing it.
Okay.
I mean, it's...
And what about other people? You are the nun.
Yeah.
And then you have all the time in the world to do your things. No, you don't go for a job. What you do? You meditate. You wake up, you meditate, and then you do your everything. Children home.
I think I do have a job. I think I have like 5. I think I can really relate to people who are balancing work and family and other things, because I don't feel that I just get the chance to only do meditation, etc. I think I have a lot of responsibilities because of the service work that I'm involved in. And of course, I can't do it by myself. People hear what we do and think, wow, how do you do all of that? I don't do it by myself. No, we have a big team now. And I have a lot of people taking on responsibility, and that's how it works. So when we want to make a difference in the world, I think that's a fundamental realization that you have to have, is that you can make a difference, but you have to be part of a bigger ecosystem, because it's the whole ecosystem that's making the difference. When I first came here to Romania, I really knew nothing. I knew nothing about working in the NGO world. Nothing. It was all a big mystery to me. And I was wondering, like, how do people, I heard something about grants and things. I'm like, how do they know about this? How do they know how to access it? Everything was a mystery. Until I started networking. Started meeting people, started going and finding other organizations, doing similar things, learning from them, being part of federations, being part of an ecosystem. And so the more that you're entering into the ecosystem, it's really satisfying for me when I'm part of networks and can feel that some of the clarities, some of the ideas that aren't just mine, they're coming from the teachings that I've received, about neo-humanism and clarity about the world, also coming from intuition, just from practice, can bring in a seed, can bring an idea, and it ripples through. It ripples through many minds, sometimes even resulting in policy changes. Here in Romania, we had worked for a couple of years on articulating our ideas from our kindergarten. I came here and I'm like, wow, I've got these teachers. They've been working for like 20 years. They're some of the most experienced neo-humanist kindergarten teachers in the world. Usually, people come and go in a kindergarten. They've been there the whole time. So we started articulating it, writing it down, making our own curriculum, and we submitted it to the Ministry of Education. And it got blocked at some point. We were just a few people without PhDs and fancy degrees, and they were kind of like, who are you to do this? Yeah. But at the same time, I presented it to a woman working in the Ministry of Education, and she read it very thoroughly. She asked me a lot of intelligent questions about it. And she's like, well, what do you think the Romanian system's missing that we really need to approve this? And I told her this, and this. And then a couple of years later, when they published the new version of the Romanian curriculum, exactly those things are what got changed in the curriculum. So this is the thing, you can never underestimate how things like catalyze. You might just be small. We are small, but I like this idea of being like the yeast in the bread or the salt in the food. It's a small quantity, but it's what gives the flavor to the whole food. So when we are able to bring into the world, bring into these ecosystems the clarity that comes from these teachings, the social teachings, also the spiritual teachings, that internal clarity and purity of heart. When we're doing things, it's not just for self-interest. It's not just for self-promotion. When you become aligned with that and you really want to do it for the right reason, just to help others, just to make the world a better place, just to really uplift everything, the ecology, everything. There's a power to that. It's like the force of Dharma is with you then. And so this Dharmic force can do miracles. There's things happening, I think, that are beyond our own comprehension of what's happening. So I do think that there is an ecosystem going on. What we do by ourselves would be insignificant if it's just by ourselves, but we're interconnected. And the more that we're interconnecting and the more that we're also communicating and the more people that come in and are supporting, this is what's changing things.
Yeah, I want to believe that actually small amount of people can do things. I just imagine if there are 1,000 people who are extremely committed. Let's say 10 people are very committed and they work in the area of culture, in the area of music, in the area of art, in the education, in the economics. And then surely, if they work like 20 years, committed to change something and to improve something, surely they will do it.
The Margaret Mead quote that never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world, because it's the only thing that ever has.
Yes.
This is what changes the world.
Yeah.
It's not just the passiveness.
Yeah.
Majority of people are kind of passive, a little bit cynical.
Yeah.
It's the people that really take on a determination to do something.
So how you make this kind of people? Mostly these are genius people. They're born.
Yeah.
And they have that fire inside, and they're just what you call like
self-motivated,
passionate people, and people with passion, and they just do it. But We need more. How to make?
Well, I think that it's a fallacy in a way to think that it's just exceptional people that are altruistic. No, I mean, I think that's what the world kind of believes in general. Oh, there's a few exceptional people that are unselfish and that are really good and they're doing these great things and like this, there are heroes. But, you know, most of humanity you can't trust. Most of humanity is kind of selfish and that's just how human beings are, blah, blah, blah. That's a pretty cynical view of the world and of people. I think that realizing that the need to do seva is a fundamental part of our human dharma. No, it's just something basic to...
Seva
means service. No, but it's expressing, it's love in action. I mean, it's expressing the need for making somebody else's happiness your happiness.
How is that?
You know, when I first, one time that I really was impressed by this attitude was a really simple experience. I was in India, and there was, you know, they make the fresh juice. He gives me this nice glass of fresh juice, and I thank him, and then he says, oh, you know, your pleasure is my pleasure. Your happiness is my happiness. And I thought, but he said it with such a sincerity and with such a brightness in his eyes. He wasn't just selling his product, you know? It was like this person's almost sadhana, or his mission was making people happy through giving them the juice. Maybe it sounds silly, but it really made like an impression on me. And I felt, yeah, that's what it is. No?
So do you feel like when your children are happy?
Oh, absolutely.
They're quite happy, actually.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're able to see a child who's like never had a Christmas celebration because their parents were too drunk, you know? And then when you're able to like give them the magic of like finding presents under the tree and all of this.
Yeah, you keep sending me these photos in the Christmas, like, and then I see Didi standing there and there are like millions of presents and she has been packing the presents the whole night. And I was just like, oh my God, I could never do this kind of work. But I understand that for them it's just like, wow, and opening these presents is like really high.
Yeah, when you see that kind of joy, it's a really big satisfaction.
Wow. Normal human being. Inclined spiritually. Doing some meditation. So what's your recipe for that person? To complete life. Means meditation is one part, but as you said, Atma Mokshartam, meditation. What was the formula? Self-realization.
And service to all.
And service to all.
Yeah.
So to complete, and I would be nice if you suggest like how much percentage of time, energy, money to dedicate to that kind of.
But before even getting into the percentages of time and things like this, I think it's important for people to, you know, to identify what you really love doing. No, what's your passions? What's your dreams? What are the issues that really move you? What would you be able to do for...
How?
How?
Many people, they say, Dada, what is my destiny? I don't know what I want. And can you tell me? I cannot tell you.
You know, even like when I went out and I told you this story about going to the hospital and helping people with HIV, this wasn't something I was really planning I'm going to do my whole life or whatever. It was just like, okay, I'm going to do something. I don't know what to do. At least do something. You know, there's a grace just in taking the first step of the journey. No, a journey of 100 miles starts with a step. So you have to start somewhere. Do something. You know, and then already things start moving. For me, that's what I felt as a young person. That's what I felt like. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had absolutely no clue. I just felt it was not just going to be a typical career. I wanted to do something. I wanted to live a life of meaning.
But do you think it's like, for example, you know, you sometimes you want to do some service, but it's a kind of expression of goody-goodiness. You know, I'm such a good boy, such a good girl, and I want to do it. So you do it actually to please yourself sometimes. Is it?
Yeah.
And so,
or to look.
Is it the real thing, or is kind of?
I think it's a part of the journey.
Transitional?
Yeah, I think it's just part of the journey. I think, you know, often I think it starts out maybe a little bit goody-goody. until you really get your feet wet, until you really start understanding some deeper issues, challenging yourself a bit more, thinking bigger, thinking broader, not just satisfying yourself like, oh, I'm going to do this just for me to feel good, but you can go out and there will always be people to feed. You could always feed people. It doesn't solve any problems. It doesn't change the world ultimately, You're doing something good. You're being part of that flow of grace for that person who gets your food that day.
I heard one story that one monk, he complained to the guru. He said, I don't feel love. And I don't know, you talk so much about love and you say that love is the basis of meditation. And then Guru answer was very simple. He said, okay, you want to learn love? Every time you go from your house, you take one banana with you. And then you make sure you give this banana to somebody. During the day. You find somebody to give. And he said that was wonderful. Just every day I go, I take one banana, I find somebody, and I give. Also, I was very touched when you were narrating this experience that you came to a homeless person, and then you just sat nearby him, and then you ask like, how are you? And what happened to you? What is your situation? That was very touching, I felt. That was kind of really human and...
Yeah, it's so easy to just walk past those people. And I do it too, sometimes. But every now and then, something about that situation just touched me. And giving people that dignity, of just giving your attention, of just treating them like a real human being. You see, it's also easy to just give some money or something, or, kind of like make your conscience feel a little bit better and move along. But to actually sit down and treat them like a human being and be curious. And, I wasn't able to change anything for him, but it made him cry that I was sitting next to him. He was actually going through, right at that moment when I sat down, he was feeling suicidal. And by talking to him and realizing, he had a whole history, his whole life story started coming out. And then he had children. I mean, this is somebody who had been on drugs and got HIV from drug use and suffering, like his legs were all swollen, and he was really just in so much pain and discomfort and couldn't get medical care and frustrated and just feeling like nobody cared. So sitting down and talking to him, he was just grateful just for that attention. His message was about look at this. This is because here in this country, there isn't a medical system that, if you don't have money, you can't access it. They just treat you like nobody. And then look at where I am now. This could have been prevented if I had gotten medical care. And he was really aware, and these types of experiences are what continue to motivate me to feel, we need to fight to make the world a better place. Everybody should have access to minimum medical care. So, it's a very, it's those types of experiences, it's not just theory then. You really see the impact of where there's injustices and this, it's a human being just like you and me.
Yeah.
With potentials, with everything.
Actually, we do with many cities where we do collective meditation, we do always feeding people like this. And many stories are there. Yeah. Like people, they go, sometimes people just get inspired by others, they go and they have this kind of imposed disdain for the homeless people, just like, because society kind of shuns them and society really rejects them. So, but when they think also, people think that these people, they are there because it is their fault, because they are whatever.
Lazy, don't want to work.
Lazy, don't want to work, drug addicts, etc., etc. But when actually listening to the stories of these people is really incredible. Sometimes the situation is just like, I don't know, children throw out of the house or very sad stories. But then when listening to the stories, we really feel that we are actually very lucky. Is just to anybody this kind of thing can happen. Of course, we believe in karma and we believe that, action, reaction. But I think it really develops some kind of humility.
Yeah.
You just feel, and then the moment you reach out and you connect with the person, there is no anymore this difference. You just feel that it is another soul, but at the suffering in the moment.
When you're dealing with people who are in really vulnerable situations, really critical situations, and you realize then you can't just come with some recipes and some,
fixing things.
Yeah. There is a humility. It's like accompanying somebody on the journey of death. It's like you can't change it, but you can accompany, you can be alongside, and that can make a difference. And I think that does give humility when you realize that the problems are pretty big that people face.
And then we are coming back to that question of that arrogance of
can you change the world?
Change the world and all these things. Yeah, this is a very good point you made. That sometimes we cannot change, but we can at least be there or share.
Yeah.
Share the burden and share the joy and sorrow.
Isn't that what the word compassion means? Like to be together?
Compassion.
Yeah, it's like, it's this idea of being a company, being together. Compassion is really different than pity. People sometimes confuse it. And pity doesn't make people feel good. No. Like sometimes people give to the homeless out of pity. Right. Or many times donations come out of pity. I really try to avoid it. I don't want people to feel pity for my children because it doesn't help them. If people are looking at them in that way, it is disempowering them, and making them an object of pity. So rather I try to focus on the positive, how you're going to transform, how you can really you can give a childhood to a child who hasn't had one yet, and how wonderful that is, what joy it is, to see them really blossoming and growing.
As you say, the pity, I mean, if you are really arrogant, okay, you take, then I think it will close the heart. It will make it even more, cold.
Yeah.
But if you give with the genuine kind of kindness
and with respect.
With respect, yeah.
This is the key, I think. When you see the divinity in the other person, you don't just see them as an object of pity. No, you're kind of then denying the divinity in them if you do that. But if you see the divinity in them, if you want to serve that.
I mean, without spiritual philosophy, it's kind of hard idea to see the divinity in somebody that you are, learned to. We respect some qualities, discipline, this and that, and then the person is just completely opposite. So it takes some practice also to try to understand.
There's a sleeping seed in them. No, it's not manifesting, but you can believe that there's always that good. It drives me nuts when people say, "Oh, they just want to be like that." Nobody wants to be unhappy.
Right.
Nobody really. It's not like they woke up or just. From
this is the dream of my life.
Wanted to be unhappy and be on the street or something like this. No, nobody wants to be suffering. Nobody wants this.
I had this one friend. She had a daughter. And the daughter is special needs. And she's basically completely non-functionable. Completely. It's just you have to feed her and things like that. Yeah. She put her in an institution. And then, but she was every day going there also to institution, take care of the daughter and then also care of other children. And she said, in the materialistic society, society feels that what's the use taking care of these children? Because there is no utilitarian value.
They won't be able to be a productive economic unit of society.
Exactly. They will never be. Yeah. Whatever you do, they will never be.
Yeah.
So and then she said that people, they treat them just survival level, not. But she said in our philosophy, the life is the journey from imperfection to perfection. So I feel even if they move a little bit forward on that path, already that life is successful.
One of the first people I met on this journey, in a collective meditation, had a daughter like that too, and needed constant care. She'd fallen into a swimming pool and was paralyzed, and would never recover. No, this was going to be her life. But she had this radiance of an elevated soul, like where you could really feel that she's not just her body. And this positivity, this kind of radiance that was around her is what I think inspired people, her parents. There's so much love there. Who knows what, the samskara that creates this situation between the mother and child like this is, but something really deep. And yeah, we're so, materialistic society just measures things like that. Useless.
Everything we do like this. I mean, useful plants, harmful plants, useful animals, harmful animals. Useful ones needs to be cultivated, other ones needs to be exterminated.
Yes.
So that's, I think, was the ideology of the world. Kind of heartless ideology. So, speaking of service, what kind of service people can do? What should they do?
There's so many different types of service. So some people are busy with work, busy with family. So it's not realistic to expect them to drop everything and go and do months of service. They would probably be compromising, the security of their own family. But then they can express service through contribution, through how do they invest their resources. One resource is time to do volunteering, And if you can manage to do it yourself, it's the most rewarding, I feel, when you can actually be physically part of the giving process or doing something that you believe in. Because it expresses your deeper dreams, your deeper desire to do something meaningful. It gives meaning to life. But you can also get meaning by feeling that you're supporting causes that you care about. Again, not trying to do it alone, looking for organizations, looking for people that you believe in, that inspire you, and that are doing things that you think make a difference, because then you become part of that. You're empowering that to happen. It's an expression of your dreams too. So finding that alignment.
I'm sponsoring a few kids in Africa, their education. And then, can you imagine, they wrote me a letter.
Oh.
They wrote me like such a nice letter. Oh, dear Dada, thank you very much. This education means a lot to me. And then, our friend Dada, Ananda, who is running a school there, and then he's on their behalf, he's collecting money from us. It was very nice. I mean, they just wrote, I'm thinking I need to write them back. So write something inspiring. Oh. And he sent the pictures. They look so beautiful, so shiny, so fantastic. And
how did you feel?
I felt really good. I felt like it's very touching. It's just, it's a big deal. The child is getting education. There is a positive change in the life of the child. I felt very good, actually. Yeah. Actually, I'm very grateful to him, because he wrote me like 3, 4, 5 years ago. He said, Dada, here my budget is not enough, so would you like to sponsor one child? I said, okay, how much it costs? He said, this much. I said, okay, couple. I want to. And then every year, then he's kind of writing me, are you going to continue? I say, yes, I want to. So I actually feel grateful to him that he kind of contacted me about it. And I just feel, at least something.
Because then you feel part of something noble. You're making something noble happen, because those that are in the field doing the stuff, they can't do it without money and resources.
Yeah.
I can't do what I do without resources, without a whole community of people that are supporting me, that believe in what I'm doing. You're also one of them. So thank you for that. You help a lot of people. But no, this is, I think, expressing some noble qualities of the spirit, right? When you get a chance to feel like, wow, that kid is having an education.
So thank you, Didi. you are really my big inspiration by being what you are, by fast respond to anything. Today is earthquake, tomorrow you're going there already, to Turkey, and when the war happened, you were there immediately at the border, serving the refugees, and immediately, just in one day, you have responded, and inspires me a lot. At least I feel one great service what we are doing, and the best service, I think, being that inspirational figure that we can look at you and we can learn from you, be inspired by you. Yeah. Thank you. And then you can see Didi's projects. I'm sure there will be a link below this video, so you can check it out, and then you can be part of this, what we are doing. Yeah. Ecosystem. Be part of this ecosystem, and also share our joy with us. Namaskar.
Namaskar. I don't even really know how to express how grateful I am for all of those of you that are working behind the scenes with your donations, with volunteer work, with professionalism to really make the Meditation Steps project successful and reach this vision that we have of bringing the tools of meditation, the philosophy that underpins it, the lifestyle practices, to as many people as possible for free all over the world. So it's just a big honor to be part of it, and it wouldn't be possible without the support. So you can find more about how to join and how to be part of this vision. And if you're feeling the benefit of these practices, of the philosophy, let's work together to get it to as many people as possible. Find out how you can do that below in the description, and there will be some links there. And I hope that together we can really transform this world with a flood of compassion, love, and inner peace that comes from meditation. Thank you.